in support, shouting out Akishas to support the action happening here today. And so we have a small group gathered so far, and we'll be here for the next couple of hours telling you about what's going on and giving some more context. And so this is just the beginning of it. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're going to be getting settled and situated here in just a minute. We'll be interviewing a number of different people here at NDN Collective that is here in collaboration and coalition with many other Native organizations, Native groups. And so you'll see behind me right now, many of them with their signs. We have here folks from the American Indian Movement. We have folks from many other organizations, grassroots organizations here. And so we're going to be hanging out here. If you see us and you're in Rapid City, drive by, say hello, come join us. We welcome all of our allies and friends to be here with us today as well. We welcome the mayor of Rapid City. We welcome the city council. We've already had some really great responses from other businesses who are actually showing support. One of those businesses that is actually behind us is the Perkins restaurant. So backing up a little bit, I want to give a little bit more context. And so here we're in front of the Foothills Inn, and you're going to see here's some more Akishas. Really beautiful energy here so far today. In Miniluzaha, home of the Ocheti Shakoi, the Oglala Lakota people, and many other Indigenous people make their home in this region as well, in this state as well. Native people, including myself, who are not from this region. I'm Shoshone and Paiute, a citizen of the Shoshone Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation, Niuh and Nama, but I'm a part of the Indigenous diaspora who spread ourselves all across Turtle Island as we move about, intermarry with each other, connect with each other. And so South Dakota is my home too. And so as a guest here, I'm really grateful to be reporting for NDN Collective, sharing about what's going to be happening today, and then also sharing about some of my own experience here as a Native woman who lives in this state, whose son attends school in this state. And so we'll be talking a lot more today, talking with a number of different people. And so as you'll see behind me, they're walking back up to the Grand Gateway Hotel, and they're just going to be making their way throughout the day, back and forth and up and down this road here. And so we'll be out here for the next 2 hours. Please come join us. You can go ahead and stop. Please come join us. We'll be interviewing a number of different people. But what I want to start out first by sharing with you all too is just a little bit of background, and then say I'll just be sharing a little. I'll be connecting with Sunny Red Bear, NDN Collective, director of the Racial Equity Campaign, to give us even more context in the ways that she has been working with grassroots folks here in Rapid City, organizing and preparing for this moment. And so just a bit of context. So a few weeks back, there was a tragic event that took place. And I apologize if you're not able to hear me that well. We're obviously right by the road here. There was a tragic event that occurred at the Grand Gateway Hotel, and there was a shooting and a life was lost. And so the feeling from that, first and foremost, that tragedy is still very much a part of the community, still coming together and trying to be in support and solidarity of those grieving. After that event took place, the owner of the Grand Gateway Hotel, Connie Uhres, made public statements on social media that because of that event, because it involved Native people, that she couldn't tell who a good Native or a bad Native was, that she would be banning all Native Americans from her place of business. The Grand Gateway Hotel, which is just behind us, right off the interstate of Rapid City, and the Cheers Lounge, which is attached. There was immediately outcry. Even the mayor of Rapid City, Mayor Steve Allender, made a post on social media decrying the statement, saying that this was not okay, that those statements were not okay and they don't represent Rapid City. But what happened was it really ignited this fire and this momentum, because there was a public statement made by a business owner that gave evidence to what many Native people in this state, in this community, in this region know to be very true, is that racism is still very real, and it takes place in overt and covert ways. When business owners, when people who run our institutions, when public leaders, when they carry those sentiments and they develop policies, they develop practices, whether or not it's listed in their policies, that are racist, that are discriminatory, and they pick and choose when they decide to use those. And so after Connie Uhre made those public statements, a couple of members of the NDN Collective staff actually attempted to go reserve rooms. And not only did Connie Uhre threaten to ban all Native Americans, what ended up happening was at the Grand Gateway Hotel, on 2 separate occasions, service was in fact actually denied. One time where there's audio where NDN Collective Director of Racial Equity Campaign, Sunny Red Bear, attempted to go book rooms. We have audio, and we'll drop that in the chat here for you to check that out, giving evidence that she was turned away. And when she was turned away, the person at the front desk cited a policy that she was not able to provide a copy of. And that policy, basically, according to her, allegedly, the policy allows the business to not rent to locals. But again, without producing a copy of that policy, they're able to pick and choose and discriminate and decide when they actually use that policy. And so that was named there. Additionally, the next day, we had other members of the NDN Collective staff, a group of them, show up at the Grand Gateway Hotel and attempted to block a book of rooms because many times here in Rapid City, we have to book rooms for a block of people because we host events, and they were turned away. Not only were they turned away, they were chased out and kicked out. Not entirely sure who the individual was, but after talking to the representative, the person at the front desk, someone came out, a man came out and pushed and aggressively removed our staff from there. And there's also video evidence of this. There is a recording of this that will also drop in the chat. And because that threat was made, number one, the threat was made and action was taken. And so after that, NDN Collective filed a federal civil rights class action lawsuit. And what that means is that the civil rights of these people were violated based on their race. Business was denied from them because they were Native American. And there's evidence from Connie Uhre making that public threat. So what makes it a class action lawsuit, class action civil rights lawsuit, is that other Native people can join on to the lawsuit, providing evidence that they were also discriminated against. And so the lawsuit is currently, it's been filed, and we're still in the legal process waiting to hear back. Additionally, an injunction was also filed asking that the Grand Gateway Hotel stop business while the legal proceedings are underway. So this is where we're at today, now at a place where the local people, many folks here, including NDN Collective and many other organizations in coalition with us, including the American Indian Movement here, and I'm not entirely sure of all the other organizations. I'm going to double check with Sunny Red Bear, and when we talk with her, she'll be sharing with us who some of those other communities or those other organizations are. And so this next step is the boycott phase, and this is where we're at today. So the boycott phase is an effort to take a stand not against the Uhre family. More importantly, this is about addressing the bigger problem of systemic racism in Rapid City. And here's Sunny right here. We'll be talking to her later. Hey, Sunny. Addressing the bigger problem of systemic racism in Rapid City. So it's not about canceling individuals. It's about the fact that this exists. And in addition, not only does the Uhre family manage the Grand Gateway Hotel and the Cheers Lounge, but also the Foothills Inn, which is right here. Other businesses. What many people didn't realize is that there are many businesses that they own. And so we're calling attention to the other businesses that this family runs, holding very racist sentiments about Native people. And although Connie Uhre was the person as the owner to make those statements, there's evidence of other members of that family making really racist posts on social media, saying really negative things about our houseless Indigenous relatives here with this undertone of racism. And so we know that that statement was just the only public statement that was caught and seen that was very explicit, but there's so much more than that, and we know that. And that's why we're here today. And so this boycott, we'll be talking to Sunny Red Bear a little bit more about what it means, what the asks are going to be, because there's much more happening. We want to lift up the businesses who have been really supportive. I mentioned Perkins back here. So Perkins is on the property of the Uhre family, but shout out to Perkins. They've been really helpful and thoughtful in reaching out to NDN Collective and to this action and to the folks that are organizing to let us know that they don't stand for the racism. And so we want to make sure and let everybody know that Perkins is good. They got good breakfast. They've been really welcoming to our team, taking that stand, and that's what we need other businesses to do. We need other businesses in Rapid City to take that stand. We know those sentiments are not just the Uhre family. We know that it's many other people, and we see those people holding places in local city government, in the state legislature, all the way up to the governor. And so we're here to ask and call to action, to be welcoming, to invite people to join us and to share a little bit more about what this boycott action is going to involve in the coming weeks. This is just the beginning of it. What you see is signs and you see people marching, but there's definitely going to be way more. And so we're going to try to catch up with Sunny here when she comes back down. Sunny Red Bear, NDN Collective, director of the Racial Equity Campaign, and she's going to tell us a lot more about what this boycott involves. And so she'll be getting into the details and the main ways and be sharing ways that folks can take action. She'll be sharing ways that are calls to action for folks who are here in Rapid City, and maybe other ways for folks to support from afar, because this is not just a Rapid City problem, it's a bigger systemic problem. And so thank you so much for tuning in, other Native people. Let us know where you're joining from. We always like our followers to let us know in the chat whose traditional territory you're calling in from, which tribal nations you represent. Thanks so much to our allies. Let us know if you're here. I think it's so important and critical that we have our allies with us. We cannot do this work without you. Social justice, social change happens in community, and we really need everybody. And so yeah, we'll take a look at some of the people here so far. This group is growing. More and more people are showing up. You see some elders and children. It's so beautiful. It's such a good feeling. More and more people coming. Love seeing the kids here. And their signs say Rapid City versus racism, because again, we're inviting all of Rapid City to take a stand against racism. This is not just for Native people. This is not just a Native problem. It's definitely not a Native problem. It didn't start with us. It started with white supremacy and the colonization of these lands, which we were impacted by. So yeah, we'll be talking to some more people here in a second. I know Sunny is going to be making her way back down. More and more people are going to be here joining us today. But yeah, maybe, hey Marty, we got another one of our team members over there. So while we're waiting for Sunny, maybe we can talk to Marty. Marty, do you want to come talk to the camera? We're going to do like a double, we'll do a double. So Marty is also on Instagram. So hey Marty, could you introduce yourself?
Hello. What's up, interwebs? My name is Marty Arenado. I'm a project manager with NDN Collective. Muskogee Creek, Donna Anthem, Akma Anthem, and Filipino, based here in Rapid City, but I'm originally from Oakland, California. And yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Marty. Thanks for being willing to visit with me. So,
sure.
Marty, I know you have a lot of experience in organizing and being a part of actions like this in the Bay Area, across the U.S., across Indian country. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there are people who question what the real impact is of this. Some people just might see the exterior and drive by and see signs and say, like, what is this for? What does this do? That doesn't even change anything. Why are you guys doing this? So I know that with the experience, the depth of experience that you have, I'd love for you to share, like, yeah, what is the impact? Why is this important? How has this been impactful in the past and in just this bigger history of movements and organizing? And how has it been impactful here? So yeah, drop your knowledge, however you want to do it. Marty is full of knowledge and has a lot of experience here. So yeah.
I think it's really important to engage in direct action because it gives you a chance to live your values, right? Put rubber to the road. Intervening in injustice is paramount. It's the entire game. If people didn't take action and do direct action, we would not have overturned Jim Crow laws. We'd still civil rights movement. Like, if you enjoy these freedoms, if you enjoy a minimum wage, if you enjoy the right to vote as a person of color, if you enjoy the right to vote as a woman identified person, if you would enjoy the right to ethnic studies, all of these things were won by organizing and direct action. You got to stand up for what you believe in and take it to them. You can file motions, you can write letters, you can sign petitions. All of those things are really important, but nothing hits the road like direct action. There's different ways for them to defend themselves through legal processes, right? And we don't always win, right? Because rules are set up to protect the ruling. But also, it's important because this is our right. We have this right here in this country, and it's important that we step out and put our bodies where our mouths are, where our minds are and where our hearts are, right? And there's a long legacy of, like I was making reference to earlier, a lot of the freedoms, damn near all the freedoms that we enjoy were won in this way, right? There's no way that we get these things without stepping forward and without putting up a fight. I choose to engage in creative nonviolent direct action, and that's a long forward explanation of just putting your body in between, putting your body on the line when it comes to injustices. Like intervening in injustices, absolutely, that's the game right there. What are you willing to do? If you want to win, are you willing to do what it takes? And it's important that folks, learn that this is our right. This is our right as human beings to say no. No is one of the most powerful words around. Yes is important too, but we say no to these things until we come up with the way that, send these folks back and they don't want to serve us.
Okay. Cool. So, question for you, Marty. So, you are a resident of Rapid City currently, but you grew up and having many other experiences in places more diverse. I too didn't grow up here in South Dakota, but have 15 years of experience in this state, and so I know there's a difference, right? People sometimes call Rapid City racist city. It's known for that. It's known for that, right?
Yeah.
The Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota, it's mirrored across that region, and it's also sometimes known as the sort of like the what do they call it? Like the Mississippi of the North, meaning that the racist policies, the racist practices, the residual effects, the energy of racism is still is really different up here, and specifically directed to Native people.
Yeah.
Could you speak to what some of the differences are that you notice, even in just the subtleties? Because see, some people today look for racism to look like the way that it looked in the 1960s and the 50s. They look for the more really overt and aggressive and violent displays of racism. And now in 2022, it looks very different. And so some people are very quick to dismiss it and say, oh, racism doesn't exist. We need to move on and focus on other things. If you don't like them, then just don't go to their business. But racism operates really differently here, obviously, in 2022, systemically, yada, yada. So what I'm hoping you can share too is just what has been your personal experience with how racism is really different here in the Dakotas? Maybe you could talk about that, give context to some of your other experiences elsewhere and how it's different. Not saying it's perfect everywhere, because there's racism everywhere, but it just shows up a little differently here. So, yeah.
So let me give you a guided tour of racism as a Native person in America. Just kidding. Racism in Rapid City. I was born and raised in Oakland, California, home of the Black Panthers. Grew up singing Panther songs as in school, you know what I mean? So that's, the context that I experienced, that I grew up in, but definitely feeling subtle forms of racism. Even in the Bay Area, there's, subtle forms of racism as a young person growing up. It's usually coded, kind of placed beneath the surface where they think they can get away with it. It's institutionalized, right? And it's interpersonal on these smaller levels, and I see it less frequently in the Bay Area because people are generally pretty chill. But also you step anywhere, you drive a half hour outside of the Bay Area and, you go back in time almost.
Yeah.
Like, shit ain't cool. Here in Rapid City, it's really palpable. From the moment I get off the plane, people are looking at me differently. Vibes are weird. But yeah, basically, I kind of have an Oakland mentality when I walk around town. This is me, and I'm not hiding for anybody. But at the same time, like, I understand, like, that, I challenge myself not to carry myself differently here in Rapid City, because we have every right to be here. This is Indian land. This is the land of the Chetishakoni, and, being mistreated on the basis of race in your own homeland is unacceptable, and that's not going to happen no matter where we go, right? As Native people, this is all ours. It belongs to some good people somewhere, that were pushed off and paved over, So I see it in the ways that it shows up is that Natives are over incarcerated here. It is, I did an action here with NDN Collective. We hung an inverted flag that said land back on it. We hung an inverted flag that said land back on it from the grain silo, which is one of the tallest buildings in downtown Rapid City. People came out in support, and it was on the 4th of July. The 4th of July is one of the most belligerent celebrations of the American lie, right? Of the conquest of America, the continued conquest. What's your mouth? Keep it moving. When we climbed down, we were arrested and taken to jail. And when I went to jail, there was nothing but Indians in Rapid City jail. And from what I understand, Natives make up 9% of the population of the state of South Dakota and are incarcerated at a rate of at least 41% and higher at different times. So in order to have that inequity, to be 9% of the population and to be 41%, damn near half of all people incarcerated in a state, that has to be deliberate. There has to be conditions that create that type of statistic, and people have to be hunted, essentially. Not to mention police murders that have happened in the past, you know what I mean, that have been either been washed over or uninvestigated. The murder of black and brown people across the country is unacceptable and happens at a crazy rate. So that statistic really blew my mind when I came here, and it's one of the worst in the country. Like, we are the highest, like, most overly incarcerated people in the nation, which is, it's a terrible stat, and honestly shouldn't make us feel bad. I'm not saying that to make Indians feel bad. I'm saying that to make America feel bad. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself treating people like that and creating those conditions, right? The economic conditions, the employment conditions. You know what I mean? It's impossible, almost damn near impossible for people to get loans in this city. If you want to make a move, if you want to start a business, or if you want to put a new roof on your house, buy a car, it's real hard for Native people to get loans in Rapid City. You know what I mean? Like, just simple things like that. That's how it plays out. It's institutional, it's interpersonal. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
And it's ugly, quite frankly. America is showing their butt. You know what I mean? And it's not pretty. It's a bad thing. But yeah, it's a real pleasure and an honor to work in the lands of the Chetishakoni, to stand in solidarity with Native people everywhere. Intertribal, international indigenous solidarity is how we're going to win this thing. We're going to tip it over. We're going to get our land back, and we're going to make life better for our people. That's all we want. We just want to be Native and left alone. You know what I mean? But if people are going to get in the way of that, we're not going to take it sitting down. We're going to make moves.
Thank you, Marty, for dropping your knowledge. It was great to hear all of that. Just personal experience and also like knowledge that you have of why this is important. And so we're going to make our way now, or I'll give you your phone back.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to make our way down this way, and we're going to go talk to some other people. So, and shout out to Alicia holding the camera for me. All right, so here you see different people staked out or just standing here on the public sidewalk. And so we're going to walk through. Hey, Karina, we're going to come back and visit with Karina here in a second. And then we're going to go stop and talk to Sunny. One thing that I see what's going on over here, and not always all real sure what our live stream viewers see. But there's people driving by in support and encouragement. There's people driving by honking and raising their fists and leeling and giving out Akishas. But there's also some people driving by and maybe not so supportive. Somebody drove by and she said something that I've heard and that many of us have probably heard. And it wasn't necessarily the words that she said, but the sentiment behind them. It was a non-Native woman, and in disapproval, she kind of shouted out, kind of in a condescending way, "Yeah, hold all racism accountable." And who knows, maybe, who knows what the sentiment of that, but what it felt like and what it sounded like was something that we hear very often, and that is that the sentiment that it's kind of like all lives mattering, this fight, calling out racism that Native people experience expressly, that Native people experience acutely in the state, and Marty spoke to that really, really well. Oh, by the way, there's the Foothills Inn right behind us, another business owned by the Uhre family, not just the Grand Gateway Hotel. Also, if you're just now joining us, thank you so much for joining us on NDN Live. I'm Sarah Manning, Director of Communications here at NDN Collective, and a former journalist, and so it actually feels really nice to be able to report on the ground today and put back on the reporter hat and just tell you the facts, like share with you what I'm seeing, share a little bit of analysis, and in a way that is honestly really different than what local media often shares. Our people often give interviews to local press and they're cut down and edited and sanitized, but what we really try to do here with NDN Collective's media, and this is why we do our media, this is why we do it, because we know that being in control of our own narratives is critical, because historically we have not had that right. Historically, our narratives have been absent of public education, of mainstream media, of all over in entertainment, and so this is why NDN Collective's media is here. This is why we're present at these events and these actions, is to give us the unedited Indigenous perspective, and we do our best to give you that here. And so just thank you for supporting us and supporting that. Yeah, I'm a citizen of the Shoshone-Paiute tribes, Niuh and Nama, but I've been a resident of the state for 12 years and been in the region for 15. My son attends school here, and I've been an educator here before being a journalist, and in media I was an educator fighting for legislative change, covering Native issues in a different way, changing state standards to include the history of Native people. That was a fight. And so I've seen inside various different institutions how systemic racism shows up in this state. And so as a part of NDN Collective, our mission is to change the status quo, is to address it, is to really bring light to the way that many of these institutions in this state and nationwide really perpetuate this long legacy of racism, and we have to be able to address it. It's critical to address it, because if it's not addressed, it doesn't change. And what Marty also really eloquently shared is that many of the rights that today's like marginalized groups or minority groups experience today have to do specifically with, at some point in time, people organizing just like this, taking action, boycotts just like this. They didn't just hand us our civil rights. We had to fight for them. They did not just hand us basic human rights or sovereign rights. We had to fight for that. And that's what we're here for today. That's why this is important. And we're going to continue talking to different people throughout the course of this day. And Sunny's actually doing an interview right now with some other media who are here. We invite more media to come and cover the story. And we invite media to look to our media as well, if you want, and other people who are here to hear specifically how Native people feel, again, unedited, unsanitized, because that's important. It's important because we've been deprived of that for too long. And so, again, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to try to make our way up and down this space, again, so that people are, to share a little bit about what's going on. So up at the top of the hill is the Grand Gateway Hotel. You can see that up there. And we have people all the way up the street kind of standing and holding a position along the sidewalk, which is public. standing along the sidewalk holding their signs because we really just want to, hold space in this whole area from the Grand Gateway Hotel all the way down to the Foothills Inn. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when the Grand Gateway Hotel first was really the spotlight and the focus of this systemic racism, a lot of people did stop going to the Grand Gateway Hotel. But what a lot of people didn't know at the time, and what just wasn't a part of the bigger narrative, though many of us did know, is that the Uhre family owns a lot of businesses, and including the Foothills Inn. The Perkins restaurant is not a part of their businesses. It is separate. Their management has been kind and friendly and expressed their support. And so shout out to Perkins. Perkins still welcomes Indians, welcomes Native people. So back to the sidewalk here. What you see is many of the people who are here for this boycott, they're just standing and holding space, holding their signs, and really this boycott campaign is to invite the public. So again, the message being Rapid City versus racism, not Native people versus racism, but Rapid City. It's an open invitation, and people can take it or they can leave it. But we welcome other people. We welcome non-Native allies. Like, wave at us. If you're driving through here, let us know. This isn't the only day that this is going to take place. This is the first day. Today, Wednesday, March 19th. But the boycott will continue. Boycott actions will continue every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sunny will be telling us more about this here in a second, but you're welcome to come join. And there will be many other ways that we share. I'm going to wait until we talk to Sunny. So if you've been hanging in there with us, thank you so much for staying with us, because I do want to wait for Sunny, the director of NDN Collective's Racial Equity Campaign, to share more ways that folks can get involved. But yeah, shout out to all of our relatives here holding the signs. Just know that these people are also risking their safety and their lives. There have been people that have received death threats that have been a part of some of these organizations, including NDN Collective, threats of violence for the stand that we're taking. And so, just prayers for the safety of the people here. Shout out to the people who have been a part of any of the actions so far. We know that there was the march that took place a few weeks back when the federal civil rights class action lawsuit was filed. And that took place starting at the Memorial Park, and it ended in front of the federal courthouse. We could share more information there in the chat about that first march when the federal civil rights class action lawsuit was filed. And then there was another march that took place that following Saturday, led by 5 different tribal chairpersons and presidents of the Oceti-Sakowin nations represented in this state. And what they did was they delivered a notice of trespass to the Grand Gateway Hotel. And so that action, NDN Collective a part of, but not organizing, just supporting many other groups, grassroots organizations, tribal leaders, tribal nations, folks in the community, non-Native allies showed up for that, again, to walk directly to the Grand Gateway Hotel, where the tribal chairpersons, tribal presidents posted a notice of trespass on the door of the Grand Gateway Hotel, citing sovereign right to this land, citing the Fort Laramie Treaty. And for folks who are watching, I know that there's more knowledge growing around this, but what a lot of people don't understand when they think of broken treaties is that treaties, according to the U.S. Constitution, which is the guiding founding, thank you so much, I'll be talking about this more here in a second, the guiding document, the framework of the United States, the so-called United States of America, that Constitution says that not only is the Constitution the supreme law of the land, but there is a supremacy clause in the Constitution that also says treaties are the supreme law of the land. So that every single treaty that was violated between tribal nations and the U.S. government is the supreme law of the land. They violated their own treaties. And so this is why many Native people who fight for treaty rights, why they take that stand. And that's why that treaty was cited in the notice of trespass that was posted on the door of the Grand Gateway Hotel. Also on that day, something pretty cool happened. There was a large eviction notice sign that was hung over the main sign of the Grand Gateway Hotel. It was a beautiful action, and so shout out to all the folks who were a part of that action. We welcome you to come back or support. Here we got some folks on the bullhorn. We're going to catch up with them, and I'll be also talking about this brochure here that is being passed out. We have in this brochure, it gives more information about how folks can plug in. There's even a cool QR code on the back, which we'll be talking about here in a second. there's so much more to this boycott. And so again, thanks so much for joining us. If you're just now tuning in, Sarah Manning here with NDN Collective, and I think Sunny is ready now. And so we're going to make our way over to Sunny Red Bear, NDN Collective Director of Racial Equity, to share us a little bit more about this this boycott. So, hey Sunny, maybe we can yeah, this is fine. Okay, cool. So yeah, Sunny Red Bear here, NDN Collective, Director of the Racial Equity Campaign, and we're right outside the Foothills Inn. And we got some folks there and up here for the boycott, and so just wanted to connect with Sunny so Sunny could share some more context and background about this boycott specifically. First of all, how are you doing?
We're doing good. It's absolutely gorgeous out here, so we're really lucky for the day. I feel like we're feeling good. It's just the beginning, you know. Yeah. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a long one, but it feels good.
So day one, first hour, feels good.
Yep.
All right, so I shared at the beginning of this live stream just a little bit about the boycott, but I wanted to wait until we spoke to you to really get into the details of all of the different components of this boycott. I shared some history about, or just not history, context about how this event came about, connecting it to the tragedy that happened at the Grand Gateway Hotel, the statements made by Connie Uhre, and then all of the organizing, including the federal civil rights class action lawsuit, the marches, and kind of brought us up to speed here to the boycott today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what is important for folks, like just in summary, to know about like why this boycott is important and why this action is important? And we'll start there, and then we'll get into like, what all it involves. So yeah, why is this important today?
Yeah. So there, I mean, it's various different things, and it's going to continue to evolve, like all of the different messages and the importance. But we have.
Yeah, just turn it over. There you go.
For us, it's so important for us to be able to use our voice here in our community. But I think that this is like the next step. This is the next step of like filing the lawsuit and like holding accountability for these businesses and the owners and all these establishments that continue to uphold these racist policies and practices. I think that it's our time to really be out here in the community, and I think that there's been like this shift in our community and the conversation. Like people are actually talking about racism. People can't deny that it doesn't exist anymore. Like they saw blatant racism that Native people and Indigenous people experience every single day, and so the boycott was just like the next level of what we want to do. And as we continue to escalate, as we continue to put pressure, not just on the Uhre family businesses, but also putting in check and notice to other businesses that continue to practice racism in big and small ways. And so we really want to make sure that our community understands that this doesn't just stop here, that this is something that we're wanting to address, systemic racism all throughout our city on all different levels. This is really just the beginning. And so I really think that, this is going to start more conversation around people's experiences. And ever since like the incident happened at Grand Gateway, we've had so many people contact us about their experiences, not just at Grand Gateway, but we talk about like automotive places, about the hospital, about schools. Like people are just like flooding our emails with their experiences, and it's time to acknowledge those. It's time to acknowledge like our lived experiences and how it's affecting our lives on so many different levels and in so many different ways. And we deserve that. We deserve to have that voice, and we deserve to have these moments where we're like taking a stand for something we truly believe in, and also seeing the support of our community as they drive by. Like we have all walks of life that are like, yes, absolutely. Like we take a stand like with you. And I think that's really important to see, because this isn't just like a Native thing. This isn't just like a Native versus, whatever. This is a community that is looking to be united on so many different fronts, and the long-standing history here, like it's time to allow that to happen. It's time to come together to stand for something we all know is wrong. And we're really putting into question, like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do in the spaces that you're in, with the power that you hold and the positions that you hold, like, what are you going to do? And so that's kind of like how I feel right now, especially like with the boycott. It just feels good to be out here, to just be like creating accountability in a way that like feels like deserving for our people. Like, I think of all of the people that come before us that have experienced these things where there was never accountability, there was never justice, and so it just feels good to be able to be like, this is for my mom, this is for my grandma, this is for my children, like, yeah, just like creating that shift.
Thank you so much, Sunny. You're also, so you're from this community, you live here, these are your ancestral lands. You're also a mother whose child, lives in this community, goes to school in this community. So beyond your role, obviously you hold a role, what does it mean to you as like a Lakota woman, a Lakota mother, to take this stand, like connected to your own lived experience with racism in this state?
Yeah, I mean, it means the world. It means so much to me to be able to use my voice, and that's something that like I didn't always have. I didn't know how to use my voice for so long, for such a majority of my life, and I see that with like a lot of different people, that they're still struggling to find their voice. And like even today I'm like, I don't have all the words, I don't have all the answers to all of these things that we're experiencing, but I do know that I have a story, and I do know that that I matter, and that my children matter, and that you matter, like, and that's the thing that gets me. It's like that drive to be able to create change, not just for myself so I can like live life easier, but like creates a change for our entire community so that we can have a better quality of life. And like my oldest son, he's up there too, holding a picket sign, and just it feels good to me to know that that we are exercising that right, and that we are trying to create that change within our own community, but then within our own families too, so just like wanting to really encourage people to do that, to come out, to make a stance in whatever ways that you I was gonna say feel comfortable, but it's not true. Like, there's so many times that you're gonna do things that don't feel comfortable to you, but it's gonna push you out of your comfort zone, but it's gonna create change. And like that's where change comes from, is like having those hard conversations, standing alongside of a road, using your voice in different ways, or using the skills that you have, and that the things that you're really good at, the things that you're really passionate about, to be able to use them for the good, to create change in that way too. So and I think that also includes like being a mother, teaching your children, encouraging them in that way. So.
Thanks for sharing that, Cindy. I think that's really important for people to remember, is that, I think when people try to dismiss this effort because they know that it's important and it's getting attention and it's working out of their own fear, sometimes they try to diminish the effort by saying a whole number of things. But I think what people should always remember is that, like, we're literally Native people who live in this state who experience this. We're parents, we're mothers, we're women. We live this, we experience it. We're not some people, we're not some invisible person behind the curtain. We're Native people who are a part of this work, who are part of this campaign, a part of this effort, a part of this organization. I think it's funny how people in general see sort of the movement happening, and the even critical of our storytelling and our media, and hello, we're Native people behind the screen or behind the camera here. We're Native people. Many of us deeply connected to our communities, born and raised on the res, in urban Native communities. We're the people who are running the media. So anyway, just important to remember, I think, again, for the people who try to dismiss the effort, to dismiss the narrative, dismiss the storytelling that we're doing on it, dismiss the work of this campaign and this boycott. We are the people who experience this. We are not, people disconnected from this. We experience this expressly, directly. And so anyway, just want to thank you for speaking to the part about just being a mother. Next, I want to if you could share a little bit more about the specifics of the boycott. Who are all the families, what are the family businesses, and what are the asks and demands right now for this boycott? Not just for this business, but again, if you could get into the details of like how other businesses can help right now.
Yeah, so the boycott's definitely multi-layered. There's other ways that you can plug into the boycott. The picketing lines will be going every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1. And this is just until like our goals are met, which is like addressing the systemic racism in Rapid City, but also shutting down the businesses of the Uhre family. And the businesses include the Grand Gateway Hotel, the Foothills Inn, and then also they have the Uhre Realty Company too. And so those are the three that we're focusing on right now. We're encouraging businesses to support and stand in solidarity with us by no longer doing business with them. We're asking the vendors to no longer do business with them, and by making that stance and not doing business with them, you're not supporting a racist business. Other ways that you can plug into the boycott is by writing letters or emails to city and state officials, urging them and encouraging them to stand. Oh my gosh, a lady just crossed the street and it really scared me. To stand, there's a Title 42, which is protects civil rights, and when it comes to like hotels, inns, and any other places that are housing transient guests. And so we're urging our city and state officials to be able to really push forth and create policies to protect Title 42, which would be like all hotels here in Rapid City. It wouldn't just be just the Grand Gateway and the Foothills Inn as well. Also, we have another part of the boycott too, where you can sign up to write reviews. And I mean, you don't have to sign up to write reviews, but that's just a part of it. Like if you're needing help or instructions or like wanting to know where specifically to write reviews, we have that as well for people. And then we also have a phone bank, and that phone bank includes like 880 different businesses that we're just calling for support to make a stance with us and to stand in solidarity. So yeah, those are some of the ways that people can kind of like plug in as well. And hopefully we can post a Google form link for people to continue to sign up in that way too.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. So we'll post the Google form link. I think our team has that. We'll make sure to post that in the chat. All right, so there's local people who can plug in a certain way. What about people who are tuning in or aren't in Rapid City, can't make it to Rapid City? How can they support?
Well, besides the picket lines, like anybody can support from any location with the online reviews, with the phone bank, and writing emails.
Cool.
So you can still support in that way, even if you're not local. And we can help give instructions and just like direction on. And if you've never done that before, then we can help you with that. So.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sunny. Anything else that you want to share that's really important before we make our way down the line there?
I always think of things after you leave.
Okay. Well, I'll come find you again.
Yeah, no, I think that it's just important for us to realize like the impact that we have here in our community, especially like the economic impact and the buying power that we need to flex whenever it comes to situations like this. We need to understand that we can't be putting our money into businesses that continue to be racist towards Indigenous people. Like we need to understand that we have that power and that we bring in millions of dollars into this local economy every year, including taxes, crushing those stereotypes and the lies that we don't pay taxes and that we get things for free and we live off the government. It's not the case. Like we actually impact this economy, local economy, all year round, especially when we start thinking about like the economy here is like basically tourism, right? But you think of when we don't have tourists here, who keeps this community going like economically, and that's us, like the Indigenous people. And we have a lot of stats and numbers that we just received too that just like show the impact that we have. And so I just encourage like Indigenous people to really flex that power and understand that like we have to stand in solidarity against people that do not proudly serve natives and that discriminate against us. And so just reminding people of that power that they hold. And I think it's really important as we start teaching our children what that means, what that looks like, and how we can exercise that on the daily. And so just excited for future conversations, right? Yeah. So
Cool. Awesome. Pretty cool. Well, thank you so much, Sunny. We're gonna keep making our way through here. But if you think of anything else, I'll find you, and we'd love to talk to you some more. But yeah, Sunny Red Bear, director of the Racial Equity Campaign. Beyond the role, obviously a mother and someone in this community. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, cool.
So we are going to continue checking out this boycott here. The folks who are here, I hope you can hear me. All right, so my helpful assistant, I'm giving them a break, and so I'm holding the camera now. I'll do my best to still give you all a nice clear picture of what's going on, and show with you some of the images of what's happening here, and share a little bit more of what this road looks like. So I'm going to back up and show you this road. And so it's a pretty busy road here, but pretty busy street that leads up to the interstate. Very, very busy. And so we're right by the exit to the interstate here. And so lots of traffic, a lot of people coming through, a lot of Native people who live here in Rapid City drive by this every day. Non-Native people, tons of Native people in this community, but a lot of people driving by still, sharing their shouts of support, honks of support, and so yeah, it feels really, really great. If you're in the community and you can make it down, cool, that would be awesome. Again, Sunny mentioned that this will be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at these times here. We welcome the media to come. There's been a number of different press here so far. Thank you for covering this important and historic moment for this city. And we invite others to come. Again, we invite the mayor of Rapid City, we invite the city council, we invite other business owners. There are many different ways beyond this moment today to support. This is just the very, very beginning of it. And we're gonna check out some more people and talk to some more of the people about why they're here. But again, starting out with a smaller group here today, taking time out of their lives, also their own personal safety, in some ways, to be here, to be visible, to be right by this busy street. And so I'll be catching up to some others here in a minute. I love to see the Native people that are from here, other people who are Oglala, Lakota, other Oceti Sakowin people. Shout out to that truck there. Lots of other Native people here, including people who are part of the Indigenous diaspora, including myself, who are not Indigenous to these lands but are a guest here. Really grateful to be a guest here in Oceti Sakowin lands. I am Shoshone and Paiute, originally from the other side of the Rocky Mountains, the Duck Valley Indian Reservation. Shout out to my people there, and my homelands, my family who are there. Just want to share a quick little tidbit, a story that is really relevant to what we're talking about here today. And that involves how this systemic racism is being fought all over the U.S. and in our communities, and our people are rising up and speaking up, and that is so critical and so important. So something happened this morning as I was getting ready, scrolling social media. I came across something that really connected to this event, and this is why I'm bringing it up. Because yes, we're here in Rapid City. Yes, we're here in Miniluzaha, Oceti Sakowin, Lakota lands, but we know that this problem of racism extends far beyond this place. It's a national problem. It's a problem across Turtle Island. It's a problem across the world where Indigenous people experience racism and are recovering from the effects of genocide, of settler colonialism. And so this is just one situation here. But the incident that I wanted to share and shout out is that there is another business that is getting ready to open its doors way back in my homelands, Niue and the homelands. And a social media, a Facebook friend of mine from back home, Shoshone and Paiute, who also lives in an urban area, saw this business getting ready to launch that had a really offensive racist name. And they're getting ready to launch this month, and they shared the social media page of that racist business. And and are calling them out just on social media. And some people are critical of calling these folks out and on social media, on technology, but it's important, it matters. And so this business was called out, their Facebook page was called out. A bunch of people started going to the Facebook page, writing reviews, and so you do have power to virtually take action. But I'll just share real quick, the name of the business was called Three Little Indians. Three Little Indians, and it's a daycare. Using a really racist trope, a stereotypical trope and stereotypical images of Native people for this daycare. We already know that 10 Little Indians is super racist and super reductive, reducing people to objects to be counted like beans, reducing us to stereotypical relics of the past, wearing beads and feathers. And this business is trying to name themselves and has named themselves Three Little Indians. And so Native people, these Native women, these girls, mothers, women who live in that area that's their ancestral lands, they spoke up about it, and that's important, that's critical. That's exactly what needs to happen. It needs to continue happening in your homelands, wherever you're at. We're against racism everywhere. And so, yeah, I just wanted to shout out just all of the various different ways that people are taking action in whatever way we can, because not everybody has the privilege or ability or able-bodiedness to show up on the front lines, or the access or the resources. And so if you're not here and you'd love to be, or you'd like to help, there are so many different ways that you can take action to support this event, and then also just holding racism accountable, speaking up, using your voice. I love the way that Sunny spoke to that. But I'm gonna flip my camera here, and I'm gonna walk through the boycott happening, and I'm gonna go up and down and share a little bit, show a little bit more of the boycott from here today in Mini Luzaha, Rapid City. All right, so there you see Sunny doing an interview. There is the Perkins restaurant, and right next to it is the Grand Gateway Hotel. We see the AIM flag. There are representatives and members of the local AIM chapter here. And there we see one relative carrying a sign, and sometimes they'll stand, and sometimes they'll walk and move around. I'll be talking to a few of them. Some others are also going live on their own media and their own cell phones. I'll read the sign here. It says Boycott, Grand Gateway Hotel, Foothills Inn, Uhre Realty, and Cheers Lounge. And then Rapid City versus Racism. And the t-shirts say Rapid City versus Racism because, again, this isn't just about Native people versus racism, but the larger problem of systemic racism. And so I want to go back to something that was said by one of the passers-by that seemed to be kind of a counter to what we're here for today. And I started to elaborate on it a little bit, but I want to speak to it a little bit more. And that was the individual who drove by, and from what it sounded like, was attempting to, sort of all lives matter this action by saying, yeah, call out all racism. And the reason why I want to speak to that a little bit more is that it is a narrative that we often hear in this state. And what it has to do with is the tension between Native and non-Native people here. So here's a little bit of statistics about or demographics about the state of South Dakota. Here we are walking in front of the Grand Gateway Hotel, parking lot empty. Good work on the part of people so far holding the Grand Gateway Hotel accountable. Perkins still has business. This is great. The Grand Gateway Hotel empty parking lot. That sign right there is the sign that had the eviction notice draped over it. So yeah, this is where we're at right now, right outside the Grand Gateway Hotel. So I'm gonna make my way up and see some more of the marchers here, or the folks that are a part of this boycott. But while I do that, again, I'm going back to the narrative here, so thanks for bearing with me as I context shift back and forth. So the idea that there's racial tension here is very real. That is true. Non-Native or white people make up the majority of the state, and coming in second in terms of population is Native people, Native American people, who make up 9% of the state population. And so that's a unique dynamic that exists in this state. That basically means that like 1 out of 10, every 10 people are Native. Then after that, other minority groups, other people of color, migrant groups come in at much smaller percentages of the total population, and I can't remember what they are off the top of the head. I apologize for that. But what I wanted to do is like, yeah, just indicate how the spread or the population numbers of being majority Native people, or I'm sorry, non-Native or white people, I mean, and the next group right underneath that being Native, it does create this dynamic that is really, really palpable here. You could feel the racism, and there is racial tension, and it, not to put a blanket statement over all of the ways that it shows up, but it does show up. And so Native people have spoken up against racism. They're fed up with racism. This is Oceti Shakoi land. This is Native land, and so there's going to be feelings. There's going to be anger. There's going to be people sick and tired of it. There's going to be emotion. There's going to be lots of emotion involved with holding racism accountable. And some non-Native people, when Native people are calling out the racism of white folks, sometimes we often hear a counter or a rebuttal that, well, Native people are racist against white people. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit more about, because I think that is a myth, that is a false narrative, that Native people are racist against white people, because racism involves systemic power. Racism is prejudice plus power. Awesome to see some allies and relatives here to support. Racism is prejudice plus power. So those who hold systemic power and privilege is the white majority. And they are also the majority in the state legislature, in official positions, in systems like schools, media. So racism is prejudice plus power. So prejudicial feelings against a people group plus having systemic power against them. And that's the difference. So there's a difference between being prejudiced and racist. Racism is about systemic power that non-Native people have had, or white people have had, in this country as beneficiaries of the settlers who colonized these lands. So for anyone that dare say, that Native people need to address our own racism, they need to educate themselves a little bit more. We need to break down what racism really means. And people really need to be prepared to have honest conversations about the anger that does exist among Native people, the real and valid emotions that exist among Native people as it pertains to racism and how they've experienced it. So yeah, this is a spot here where I'll go check out some of the signs. These are some of the signs that were present at the other actions. It says systemic racism is still the problem. Systemic racism. Then here is another banner that you might have recognized from another place. We will not tolerate racist policies and practices. Yep, a Dene relative here. Hey, can I listen to you later? Sure. Sure. Okay, cool. Is here fine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, so I mentioned that I was going to be interviewing some other people here, and here I have with me beautiful Kimberly Braveheart, and also a business owner in this community. A business owner, these are your ancestral lands. Here today being at this action, and I know you've been at many other events. So yeah, I'd love to just visit with you about this event here, not just this event, but just the importance of showing up for this boycott, for taking action, and just from your perspective and experience as a business owner and a Lakota woman.
Awesome. Yeah. I think it is really important as a community that we all come together regardless of race, ethnicity, class, whatever, that we we all show up for each other, because racism is not just a Native issue or a brown person issue or a black person issue. It is an everybody's issue, and I am a mother, and I'm raising my children in this community, and we all fight against racism when we say that it is no longer tolerated here. It makes this community a more beautiful and safer place for all of us, and we become neighbors and relatives, and that's the importance of showing up. And so no matter, even if you've never been to an action before, you should definitely come to one. They are fun and safe, and you get to meet new people, and this is what community is all about, is coming up and showing up for each other and saying, like, this is no longer tolerated in our community, and we want something where we're all seen and we're all visible.
Cool. Thanks so much, Kim. Anything else that, like, as a business owner, that you think is really important for other business owners to really just spend some time either, reflecting on, or just, committing to certain changes to help be a part of the solution? Like knowing the insides of what it's like to be a business owner in this community, what can other business owners do?
I think that all businesses, regardless of your business, it literally could be a landscaping business to a corporation. I think that all of us need to be value-based companies where we believe in equitable, value-based culture, where we are welcoming to all people, and we treat all of our guests and our fellow business owners with respect and honor, again, regardless of race or any other differences. Like, the one thing that I realize for me as a business owner is that we are all so much more similar than we are different, and that we are all facing some of the same challenges. So you're all facing some of the same challenges, that it doesn't matter, and so that we should all show up. And racism actually affects our business. It's bad for business. It's bad for economy. It's bad for tourism, and we want to create communities that are welcoming to everyone, create business that is welcoming to everyone and treats everyone with honor and respect and compassion for each other.
So much, Kim. I think that's really helpful for me to even hear from you as a business owner, just speaking the language of being a business owner and knowing what it's like to build a business with certain practices and what it takes to really build the business model, and what should be a part of that, what should be a part of policies. What would you say about that policy of not serving locals? I know that was a policy that the Grand Gateway Hotel allegedly has, to not serve locals. They weren't able to produce a copy of the policy, but again, that was the policy that they cited.
It's shocking to me as a business owner. My local community is why my business exists. They are my bread and butter. I love it when we have guests from out of town who come in, such as yourself, and patronize our business, but it is the people who live here, who work here, who pay taxes here, who raise our children here, who support our athletes, who support our community, that is the one that keeps us all afloat. Literally, the economy here does not work without locals. And so it was literally shocking to me that any business would be like, I don't want to serve local people. It doesn't even make sense for business.
Yeah.
I mean, our tourism season is 3 months long, and so that it's not relevant. It's not relevant.
Does that seem, just based on your experience working amongst other business owners, is that very typical? Is that standard? Like, how common is that for people to have a business that's like, nope, no locals?
I've never even heard about it. I don't think that I could name one other business in the Rapid City area that has such policy, because it is bad for business. I mean, we have definitely seasonal businesses who are intended for tourists, but I mean, I patronize them. The community still utilizes them, and so I'm not quite sure why anyone would do that. Is that the thing is, for both the Native and non-Native community here, is that we are all in this community together, and so we want to create a community where people are welcome, they are seen for their individuality, but they're also respected and appreciated for their cultural identity. And that's what makes a community a community. And so I think that's what we should be celebrating.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna go check it out some more. So glad you're here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make my way through, talk to some more people. That was Kimberly Braveheart, Oglala Lakota business owner, known as Chef Braveheart. She makes she does some amazing catering and serves both non-native and native people, all people, locals. And so check out her business. She makes beautiful, amazing, delicious, scrumptious charcuterie boxes. All right, something else I want to check out here, which is interesting. Welcome Rapid City Marshals, Grand Gateway Hotel. So welcoming, tongue-in-cheek. But look who they welcome law enforcement. So I'm gonna go through and talk to some more people here. We're gonna check out some of the new folks who showed up. Some people are like swapping out and taking shifts here. Taking some shifts and taking some rest, getting some water. Good to see you. Really good. How are you? Good. Do you feel like saying a few words? I'm live.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Yeah, well, so good to see you. You want to introduce yourself and say how you're connected to this community? And
Sure. My name is Bill Knight. I was raised here. My family's been here for a long time. Graduated from high school here, moved away for a while, and moved back in 2007. So I'm actively involved. Trying to be the best ally I can. Really trying to make sure that we're accountable for our actions. Stuff like this is, quite frankly, it's sickening. And we should move forward as a community and make sure that we all work together, because it is all about working together. It's also about taking responsibility.
yeah, thank you, Bill. Really glad to see you here. So you identified yourself as an ally, and thank you so much. And I know that you're, to many of us, really appreciated for stepping out as a non-native person. And because I think that's really what we need. We really need to see more people willing to say this is a problem. And I think a lot of non-native people can be really defensive, resistant to the conversation. They act like it doesn't exist. It's the elephant in the room. They might have racist conversations in their homes with their children and their families. In public places, it's really prevalent. And so the fact that you're here as a non-native ally is really, really appreciated and really, really important. What words would you have for other non-native people who maybe aren't quite comfortable yet or ready to step into more active allyship?
Do as much research as you can. Feel free to, I'm available to come out, reach out to me, especially if you're here locally. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to have those conversations. White fragility is a real thing, and it takes. You have to be willing to move past that. We need more allies.
Yeah.
We need more allies out here. So we need local allies that want to come out and join us. If you don't want to talk to anybody, organize it. Feel free to come talk to me.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Bill. Really glad you're here and for the example you are for what true allyship looks like. So really glad to see you and hope you get some water. Yep. All right. Raise them fists. Yeah. Gonna go check out some more people. A lot of good vibes here, good feelings. It's a beautiful day. It is spring here in Mini Luzaha, in Oceti Shakoi homelands. We see the flag of the American Indian movement there. I'm gonna go all the way down here to the base of this little hill where the Foothills Inn is, and again, another business of the Uhre family. And they need to be held accountable for their racist practices, policies, beliefs. their discriminatory policies that they pick and choose when they want to use, and by and large using those to discriminate against Native people, local Native people. Here we are. This is what the Foothills Inn looks like. We've got law enforcement here. Yep. Report the cops. Foothills Inn. Not a whole lot of business here, but there is some, and we encourage anybody who might frequent this hotel or any of the Uhre family businesses to find other hotels, to find other places, to not give your dollars to racist business owners, to racist policies and practices that perpetuate a legacy of racism, that perpetuate violence against Native people, that perpetuate the vilification of Native people, that sees itself manifest in the form of Native people being over-prosecuted, over-incarcerated, over-criminalized in their own lands. So earlier, visiting with Marty earlier today, he mentioned some really important statistics that are important for people to reflect on. And that is that although Native people only make up 9% of the local population, they represent more than 41% or more than 40% of the population of incarcerated people right here in this city. It's getting a little warm out here today, but thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be dropping resources into the chat. I'll be talking to more people about why they're here, why it's important. I'm going to try to grab some water myself. The crowd is growing. People are taking some breaks, but the crowd is definitely growing. People are coming out when they can on their lunch breaks. This is right at the peak of lunch hour, so stop by, hold up a sign. You can relieve some of these people who have been here for a while. Relieve them for a little while. Come take your post. Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Tell Brian Suarez said fuck you.
Oh, it's okay. So show up. It's your lunch break. Come on out and show your support. Got some other relatives here in solidarity and support. Love to see that. I'm going to do my best to try to connect with some folks who I connected with ahead of time. Not everyone likes being put on the spot for an interview, but I do my best to try to connect with people and get consent ahead of time. But sometimes in the moment, we gotta do our best. Hello. Hi. Checking out the little resting spot here where they're handing out water, sitting. I need to go find the water people. And there's the entrance to the interstate right there. A lot of construction happening, a very busy part of the city where there's a lot of other hotels. Right over there is the mall. Other hotels in the area. So there's lots of places for people to stay. You don't have to stay at a racist business. Nobody should have to support racism or discrimination. See some new faces here. It's awesome. Love to see some of the new faces. Do you guys recognize any of these beautiful faces? Relatives, allies. This could be you. This could be you. You could be here. So again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 1 Mountain Standard Time. We'll be here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday until the outcome that this boycott is hoping to achieve is achieved. So join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday right here, gonna talk to some more people, but again, just trying to find some water. Some people resting. These guys have been here for a while. Tired.
We're old people.
They said they're taking a break because they're old, but they're about to get back up. Quick question. Or is there anyone else that you would recommend?
Talk to Karina.
I didn't yet. But even like others, who are those that came with any of them? I don't want to put them on the spot while we're live.
Are they still here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to ask if any of them are willing to talk? No pressure, but just curious because they're here at Allyship.
Yeah, I can ask.
Okay, just let me know. Okay, I'm trying to find some more people to interview. I want to give you guys a lot of perspectives. There are definitely non-native allies showing up. And I think there is a semi-pro football team that is based out of here in Rapid City. I'm so sorry, I'm ignorant to this. I do not know the details. I'm pretty sure there is semi-pro football team, and that some of that football team is here.
Yes, thank you.
Also, one of the things that I notice here too, there's a lot of people, Ocheti, Shakoi, Lakota, Dakota people here. There's also other people. There's a woman who was at the road earlier who's Dene. Navajo people are repping here. Navajo people are everywhere. So beautiful to see, and just an important indicator that Rapid City is, while it is on the homelands of the beautiful Ocheti Shakoi, it is also the home to many other Native people who are part of the Indigenous diaspora who have spread across Turtle Island, as we always have since time immemorial, intermarrying, sharing our culture, traveling, developing trade systems. And so we're literally all over. I'm here as a Noah, as a Nama, as a Shoshone Paiute person whose homelands are not here, but I've lived here in this state, in this region, as a guest of the Ocheti Shakoi for the past 12 years, and in the region for 15. Little cute little babies. Love to see it. Passing out snacks, taking care of each other. You will be given water. You will be given snacks and treats while you're here. But I need to find a water. Bill. Are you helping those guys over there? By chance? Do you know where there's more water? Oh, I see one. Never mind.
Yeah.
Are those on that?
No, right where that guy in the red is, he has the water up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna go get some water. I am parched and out of shape. And it's hot. And I'm wearing a jacket, so. Alright, so I'm gonna go get some water. Again, here's the base here. Can I get a water?
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm gonna take off my jacket.
Gatorade orange.
I will take either one, but could you help me? I'm still live right now currently. Thank you so much. Can I leave this here too?
Definitely.
Okay, my keys are in there. Thank you so much.
Inside the truck, okay?
Okay, cool. Got some hydration. It's getting warm. What's that?
I think the
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, I got a drink. Now I'm moving. Oh, so cute. Still alive.
I get the delayed.
Oh, it's delayed?
I saw hear you talking stuff.
Okay. Anyone else you think we should talk to?
Oh.
All right, I'm gonna go talk to some more people. I'm gonna as respectfully as possible, kind of put some people on the spot, see if they want to talk. My battery is running low here. Live streaming takes a little bit of extra juice. I'm on my cell phone today. Shout out to our director of tactical media, Lorenzo, who's helping me out in the remote studio. But I'm not always the one behind the camera. This is just for today on a cell phone. And shout out to all the cell phone streamers. It is not easy. It seems simple and easy, but holding your hand up with a phone gets challenging. So, and again, shout out to our other relative, Alicia, who was helping with the phone earlier. A lot of beautiful Native people. Dinesis here. Scoden.
Hey, woman! Hi! Honk your horn!
Good positive vibes here. Waving, saying hi. We're gonna go talk to Karina next. Okay. That's right. You ready? I'll turn in a second. Okay.